Hello everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report for the month of February. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with the outlook for state funding for our schools for the fiscal year beginning July 1st. Governor Nixon has proposed flat funding for the foundation formula for the coming year by using a creative approach involving some money Missouri is receiving through the federal jobs bill. Here's what Governor Nixon had to say about the plan in his State of the State address.
So even in a difficult year, we will protect our investment in K through 12 classrooms. Now, as you know, states received additional federal funds to be allocated to school districts this year. But in spite of receiving this money, some states are making cuts to their K through 12 classrooms. Not in Missouri. We're partnering with our school districts to allow this money to be used to keep stable funding for our K through 12 classrooms, not only for fiscal year 2011, but also for fiscal year 2012. Stable, even funding.
The federal money must be distributed to schools in fiscal year 2011. Then local school districts will need to retain some other state and local money that would have otherwise been spent during that fiscal year. By doing that, the foundation formula funding for school districts would be kept at its current level for the next 2 fiscal years. It's now up to the General Assembly to consider the plan. State appropriations must be completed by May 6th, a week before the General Assembly adjourns this year. You can keep up on funding and other legislative issues through MSBA's weekly Legislative Voice newsletter, emailed to members each Friday, the weekly video program Legislative Report posted on the MSBA website every Friday, and daily updates posted on the Capitol Watch blog on the MSBA website. And don't forget to register for the MSBA Legislative Forum on February 15th in Jefferson City. Governor Nixon and legislative leaders have been invited to speak at that event. Well, let's turn our attention now to Washington, D.C. It's no secret that the federal government is playing an increasing role in our schools, and we're monitoring a number of issues on the federal level right now, including the overdue reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, also known as No Child Left Behind. President Obama called on Congress to reauthorize the law during his recent State of the Union speech. MSBA's Chief Program Officer, Tech Chapman, keeps track of federal issues for us, and he thinks there's a reasonably good chance Congress will do just that later this year. He says we're hoping to see changes in the adequate yearly progress accountability system currently in the law.
I think the issue of accountability is important to everybody, but I think people have recognized some of the accountability standards that are in there now are not flexible enough and don't recognize the achievement that schools are doing, specifically around growth of kids from year to year. And so I think there's a high likelihood of opportunity for that kind of flexibility, and also to move away from these terms that have been kind of ingrained in our heads about a school that's failing. I don't think anybody likes that label. And so I think likelihood of some revisions and change there, I think, are likely.
Other issues likely to be considered are provisions related to highly qualified teachers and improvement strategies for struggling schools. Some Missouri school board members are traveling to Washington, D.C. this month to learn more about education issues on the federal level as part of the National School Boards Association's Federal Relations Network meeting. They're meeting with Missouri's congressional delegation during that trip. Chapman says it's critical that board members and superintendents take advantage of opportunities to meet with their U.S. House and Senate members when they're back home. Meanwhile, work continues on the Missouri Public Education Vision Project, a joint effort of MSBA and the Missouri Association of School Administrators. The Vision Project sponsored a series of community meetings throughout the state in January to gather ideas from parents, adults without children in school, and high school students on ways to improve our public schools. Reports from these meetings will be provided to the school board members and superintendents serving on the project's 7 planning teams. The teams continue to meet to develop their recommendations. A final report from the Vision Project will be completed by the 2011 MSBA annual conference in cooperation with MASA, and that event will be held the last weekend of September this year. Be sure to take advantage of lots of good information on school personnel issues through MSBA's School Personnel Information Database and Employment Resources, or SPIDER. The database contains information provided by more than 350 districts throughout the state on salaries, labor agreements, and other personnel issues. This information is going to become increasingly important to you as we build constructive relationships with school employees and navigate the new world of collective bargaining in Missouri. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.